Welcome to our Tuesday live leadership chats. Today I'm talking about ways to increase your emotional intelligence. In particular, how our emotions as a coach impact the coaching conversation and the coachee. My name is Kylie Butler and I'm a part of Christian Coaching Institute, which is Australia's leading Christian coaching organisation. We've been coaching and training leaders in coaching for over 10 years now. Now, I was meeting with a Christian leader recently. Let's call him Dave. That's not his real name, but we'll call him Dave for this exercise. Dave was frustrated with one of his team members. His team member has good leadership skills and works really hard, but the way he interacts with others is just a little off. So in short, Dave's team member is not very self-aware. He doesn't understand why people respond so negatively to him. And he doesn't know what he's done to kind of do that. Now, Dave knew that he needed to have a conversation with his team member, and he came to me wanting advice. Instead, I asked Dave a couple of good questions, as any good coach does. So how did he feel about his team member? How was he responding to his team member? And what would be the most beneficial thing for his team member? Dave became more aware of how he was responding and the impact that was having on his team member. Dave went away from our conversation with some great next steps, but also feeling more confident in his leadership ability. When I had a follow-up meeting with Dave, I asked him how the conversation went. His response was, "It could not have gone better. So much better than I expected." How good is that? Dave became more aware of his emotions and how that affected the conversation with his team member. He adjusted his behavior and came out with a really successful leadership win. So how do we do this? How can we increase our own emotional intelligence? Let's firstly have a look at the definition of emotional intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your emotions, understand what they're telling you, and realize how they affect the people around you. People who function at a high rate of emotional intelligence have the ability to adjust their behaviors and are more effective in recognizing and managing their emotions as well as the emotions of others. So how can we increase our own emotional intelligence? I want to talk today about 3 tips that you can do to increase your emotional intelligence. Number 1, observe. Number 2, respond rather than react. And number 3, responsibility. Let's have a look at observe. In the process of us rushing around from one commitment to the next, meeting deadlines, responding to demands, many of us actually lose touch with our own emotions. When we do this, we're far more likely to act unconsciously and miss out on the valuable information that emotions actually contain. When we have an emotional reaction to something, we're actually receiving information about a particular situation, person, or event. The reaction that we experience might be due to a current situation, or it could be reminding us of something in the past. When we pay attention to how we're feeling, we begin to learn to trust our emotions, and we become far more adept at being able to manage them. So if you're feeling a little bit out of practice, I want you to try this exercise. Set a timer or a reminder for different points throughout the day. When that reminder goes up, take a few deep breaths and then just notice how you're feeling emotionally. Pay attention to where that emotion is showing up physically in your body and what the sensation feels like. The more you can do this, the more it will become second nature to be able to observe your emotions. Second one is to respond rather than react. There's a subtle but important difference between responding and reacting. Reacting is the unconscious response, where we experience emotional trigger and we behave unconsciously in a way that expresses or relieves that emotion. For example, we're irritated by someone who's just interrupted us, so we snap at them. Responding is the conscious process that involves noticing how you feel and then deciding how you want to behave. For example, you are feeling irritated because someone's interrupted, but you actually explain to the person how you feel, why it's not a good time, and when would be a better time to be able to connect. The third one is take responsibility. Your emotions and behavior come from you. They don't come from anybody else, and therefore the one who's responsible for them is you. If you feel hurt in a response to something that someone says and you lash out, you're responsible for that, not them. They didn't make you lash out. They're not controlling you like a puppet on a string, but your reaction is your responsibility. So what can you do to be able to increase your insight with this? I do want to acknowledge Hannah from Life Hacks for some of the content in this blog today. But if you're interested in increasing your emotional intelligence, developing your coaching skills, we are so excited to be able to announce our coaching course coming up. It's part face-to-face and part Zoom. Yes, you heard right. It is part face-to-face. So if you have missed face-to-face training or you just prefer it, why not join us in Melbourne on April 19th for the first part of this course, where you'll get to develop your coaching skills, learn to listen better, learn to ask powerful questions, increase responsibility and accountability of the people that you meet with. I'll post some information in the comments below. So today we've talked about 3 ways to increase your emotional intelligence, and in particular, how your emotions as a coach impact the coaching conversation and the coachee. So we looked at 3 tips. First one was to observe your behavior. Second, to respond to your behavior rather than react. And the third one is take responsibility. It's been great to meet with you today. Look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Have a great day.